Hi, welcome to this week's sketchbook tour. Well, I say this week's, it's probably more like this season's, because if you've been following my videos for any length of time, you'll have noticed that they're not a weekly thing anymore, or they haven't been a weekly thing for the last couple of months. Now, that's mostly due to the fact that I've been very busy with commission work, which I'm not necessarily upset about. I've also struggled to get used to the new house I find myself in. I've wound up with COVID and a few other illnesses over the past couple of months, so all in all, it's been quite hard to keep a sketchbook going, and if I'm not drawing in a sketchbook, there's not really going to be a sketchbook tour video. But as of a few weeks ago, I decided to change that, and I've begun the routine of getting up at between 5:30 and 6 every morning and doing a few hours practicing, in order to get a little bit better, because I have grown a little bit rusty, I feel, but also to start doing these videos again, because I've missed the little routine that I sort of got myself into before moving house. So fingers crossed. I'm only going to share 1 week's worth of sketches, so there'll at least be a few weeks worth of videos in the next during this month at least. So yeah, fingers crossed. I'm going to try my best to sort of keep on top of this. So yeah, anyway, let's get into it. So this page is basically a warm-up page, so quick little line warm-ups, and for every vertical line it signifies a day. So far I've done maybe 11 or 12 days in this sketchbook. So, and that's the line warm-ups are more like I say, a warm-up exercise. It gets me used to using my shoulder rather than my wrist. It sort of wakes me up a bit, sort of it sort of tell my brain, you know, it's time to concentrate, and it does work to an extent. I've tried out many types of warm-ups over the past couple of years, but simple line sort of seems to do the job for me. So each day I sort of allocated a different theme, or there'd be sort of like a daily exercise, a daily theme, and then a weekly challenge. So today's sort of daily exercise is shapes. Now these are all from imagination, let's say, although how imaginative they are I don't really know, but it's a way to play around with perspective for me. I don't tend to do perspective in a very mapped out kind of way. I try and sort of feel my way around it, which is kind of obvious, I suppose, because it's not exactly the most precise version of perspective, but yeah, it's me playing around, experimenting. As I've said before, I find that making mistakes is the best way to learn, and as is sort of actually doing something practical and having a go, sort of bulldozing my way through a subject. So that's kind of that, and for every mistake I make, I try and sort of keep a log of it. I used to write things down, but I don't anymore. So yeah, we're still on Monday, and Monday's daily theme, I don't give these things names, but yeah, I suppose it's a daily theme, or another daily exercise, was skulls. Now typically I'd do just human skulls, but I thought I'd throw in some animal skulls in the mix. So there's cat and dog, and I think that's a gorilla or a chimp. But yeah, this was a way of me sort of dipping my toe back into anatomy a little bit. but I also thought it might be interesting to maybe do animals and human skulls side to side, because then it informs each other a little bit more, and it makes certain things a little bit more memorable for me. Like, I can visualize a cat skull a little bit better because I can see how different it is, or how similar it is to a human skull now. But yeah, these are sort of relatively quickly done. I don't labour over these, but I did take my time for me. And they're a way to build up a visual library, I suppose. Then the weekly challenge for this particular week was to draw 50 hands throughout the week. So that's 8 of them. Now, I say week, I'm actually only doing 5 days a week. Because I tend to find that if I'm really strict with myself and do, 3 or 4 pages every single day, by the end of 2 or 3 weeks, I'm running out of steam. So taking the weekend off, I might still draw, but in terms of studies and this sort of like structure, I find it works best in sort of 4 to 5 day chunks. So that's what I've been doing. One of today's warm-up exercises, this is Tuesday, is gesture. Now, these are quite, they're not necessarily gesture. I always struggle with the word gesture. Not in the way that I would typically do them. Like I say, I took a bit more time with these, I suppose. For me, a gesture sketch is a little bit more freeform. It's a little bit more stickman-esque. It's more about the form than it is the aesthetics. That's a little bit more like these portrait studies, I suppose, a little bit more considered and a little bit closer to how the reference was in terms of how the photo looked. If that makes sense. That's all over the place when it comes to sentences. Anyway, so Tuesday was gesture and it was portrait, as you can probably tell. Then a few more hands. Now, if you've not already noticed, these are unscripted, so I will ramble a little bit. Now, we're on to Wednesday, so more shapes. I was trying something else. Not something I typically do, is these sort of like cubes. And I was going to do like a full page of that, but then I thought I'd try doing a few other shapes, and then I sort of went a bit haywire with it. Some sort of clothing fashion studies. One of my goals for this month is to get back into the swing of drawing the human figure alongside clothes. So maybe if you've watched any of my other videos, especially from sort of the spring summer, I was doing a lot of figure drawings, but most of them weren't clothed. But typically, I know that in time I'll be drawing a lot more clothed figures either in sort of like my freelance work or my comic book or whatever. So it's something that I really want to sort of drive home. I feel like I'm close to understanding poses. I feel like I've got a little bit of a visual library bank when it comes to those sort of things, but clothes is something that still eludes me a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things for me to work on. So some more hands. I think we're around the sort of like 30 mark now. So Thursday was some more gesture. And these are they're just from random references from the Croquet Cafe. They've got a fast sketch tool which basically just spits out random poses. So I've started using that a little bit more. I'm hoping that once I finish this sketchbook and I feel like I'm sort of back up to speed with drawing a little bit, sort of gained a bit more confidence, I am going to start trying to rotate some of these poses from without using a reference. So I'll say draw that pose and then try and rotate it without the use of a reference as a kind of exercise. So back to the book. Anyway, Thursday was gesture and still life. So these are just random objects that I found in the kitchen. And then some hands with those objects. And then back to shapes for Friday. This will be the last day. So as you might have noticed, sort of the first page of the day is either a shape or a gesture. I sort of consider those things as warm-ups, like other kinds of warm-ups, as opposed to just the lines. But I have been changing things weekly, so I'm not always going to do either of those two things. Then for Friday, I was umming and ahhing of what to do. I sort of wanted to do some artist studies, so taking a known artist and breaking down their style. But because it'd been a little while since I'd drawn, I wasn't feeling all that confident. So I decided to sort of just do what I'd been doing for the rest of the week and just take some images from online somewhere or. And typically, when I used to do these things before, Friday would always be like a flora and fauna sort of day. So I decided to do cats. Because cats are typically creatures that I find quite tricky to draw, despite owning 3. Or say owning, they sort of own me, I suppose. But yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with a lot of these. Some of them went a bit not quite to plan, but yeah, I'd like to sort of spend a bit more time doing cats, I think. And then these are the final hands for the week. So hands are typically the thing that I go back to whenever I've not drawn for a little while. And I say it makes it sound like I've not drawn, but I've been doing a lot of digital drawing for clients, but it's not the same as drawing with a pen in a sketchbook. Especially with a pen, because with digital you can just, Command Z or whatever it is, to undo something. Whereas with a pen, it takes a little bit more mental. You have to sort of concentrate and hope it goes all right and double check yourself, especially when I've not done it for a little while. That's kind of how I feel about it. All of these are a little bit tentative. And yeah, that's it for the first week's worth of sketches. Now, I'll share this next sketch. So this is the Monday after, this is week 2. And it's another anatomy day, as like with the skulls. But again, I chose to do hands and paws. And so we'll leave it there, I suppose. So, I am hoping that this will become once again a weekly thing, if I can keep up getting up in the morning and sort of, really working at it. It's certainly something that I want to keep doing. On top of that, I will be doing some drawing videos, so let me know if you'd like me to sort of focus on one particular thing. As I've mentioned before, I'm not a tutor, I'm not a teacher, so it'll be very much a relaxed kind of drawing session. But I hope to start those again. Whether or not I do the work, the work along videos, I did a couple of those with just still images. I'm undecided. They didn't seem to go down very well, so and they took a little bit of time to do, so maybe I'll do one of those every month. But again, let me know in the comments if there's anything if you'd like more of those, or if there's any particular topic you'd like me to do. And we'll leave it there. I suppose it goes without saying thank you to everyone that stuck around. Thank you if you've made it this far into the video. My rambling, I promise I'll try and get a little bit better at this. Like I say, I'm a little bit rusty. I'd like to thank my patrons. They will be getting this video a day early. There's also have a Q&A type video that I plan to do with people's suggestions from over there, alongside early access to things. And I'm going to be working on some drawing exercises that'll be a free sort of thing for over there as well. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around. Toodaloo.